Hey 2D2 students, it's time to talk about compositional arrangement. You've been basically doing 2-point perspective in the same old way, standard view, on almost everything we've done. And what I want to do today is make sure that I introduce you to other points of view using 2-point perspective so that your compositional arrangement isn't stale and you have more freedom to do other ideas. So here's what I want us to all do. We're going to fold our paper this way. And then we're going to fold our paper this way. Now our paper is divided into quadrants, and that just gives us a few different places to do what we're going to do today. Go ahead and trace over your fold. And we're going to try out 4 different variations of 2-point perspective. So the first way that you already know and you've been doing is called the standard view of 1-point or 2-point perspective. Of course, that's where we were just sticking the horizon line right in the middle, on our vanishing points were both on the very outer edges, and then we were putting our blocks wherever we wanted to put them and stretching them to the vanishing point. Okay, then they, of course, crisscrossed there, and that's just kind of the way it looked. Now, we can always put a block anywhere and use perspective to finish it out, but it always kind of ends up about the same in this perspective, in this compositional arrangement, rather. So what I'd like to do is kind of mix it up now and show you a slightly different way than standard view. Let's try doing just placing the horizon line maybe at the top of the page and keeping our vanishing points far apart. This is what I would consider the helicopter view. Okay, in this view, you could put your shapes in the same places as before. And what you'll find is that the ones on top barely show the underneath side because now you're up so high you're almost at eye level with them. The ones on the bottom, however, even if drawn exactly in the same place and relatively the same size, are exposed more on the top. So we see more of the top of them than we did before. Okay, this is why we call it helicopter view. That's because we went from maybe the standard view in the middle and then we zoomed up into the sky, and now we're looking down on that same composition, that same idea. I'm not going to take the time to draw that third little box. I think you understand. So the next point of view I want to try with you is to put the horizon line extremely low. And I want you to see what happens there. Still keeping my vanishing points far apart. The main reason why, and I want to encourage you to do that in your summative, is you can only use 2-point perspective between the 2 points. If you were on the outside of one, now you only could technically use 1-point perspective. And so that would limit your ability to show off your new skill. So plan on keeping these far apart in the composition no matter what you do. So now that I have my horizon line vanishing points, but it's set low, I want to show you what happens. Same box in the same part of the composition. It is now exceeding the height of the eye level, which means the top is going downward towards it, here and here. And of course, even if I keep the width about the same, it's basically showing the front side of the box, but I can no longer see the top or the bottom because it's both below and above it. And then, of course, as I do the one up in the sky, we have this really extreme view of the underneath side of it. You can see a lot of the bottom. This represents the idea that our eye is close to the ground. So we might call this worm's eye view, or ground level would be more accurate because worm's eye view is actually something a little more extreme. So I'm going to change that to ground level. Sorry about that, guys. Ground level view is what I meant to say. All right, so we have three pretty unique perspectives of the same box. Three compositional arrangements that vary. This last space, you could do something experimental with. And I don't know what that's going to be for you. I want you to consider some options, doing a little research since you're my upper level class. Consider what would it look like if you did 2-point perspective inside of a room. What would that look like? I can tell you that you would still have a corner pointing at you, okay? If you go researching online and you make sure you're talking about 2-point perspective, and you can spell it out, you can use abbreviations, you can use the letter 2 when you look those things up, but try your own idea in this box, and I want you to consider possibly looking at the inside of a room. Another option, just to get you thinking about possibilities, would be to look at maybe tunnels. So is it possible to set the whole thing up inside of tunnels that maybe go off from small, wherever your eye level is, into these large openings that are in the middle? I can almost picture it, and I want to draw it so bad, but I don't want to ruin the fun for you. So you try and see if you can figure that out. And of course, if you're hybrid and you're in class, or you really want to know from home, you can ask me if you can't figure it out. Another possibility would be to play around with what I started to call this one earlier. Worm's eye view. In 2-point though, don't forget, because this could be done in 1-point. I want you to be seeing an example of it in 2-point so you don't get mixed up. Another one that's fun is bird's eye view. So these are lots of ideas, again, all done in 2-point perspective that you could look up and try in this space that might get you, again, thinking really creatively about the possibilities for your summative project. You do this on your own with your own idea. I want to see you do these three. Try to keep your shapes in the same place, looking the same, so it'll be more consistent. I'll go ahead and get rid of this guy just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now they all match the same scenario, done 3 different views, and I've got my space where I would typically do my wild card compositional arrangement, my weird one, to just try something different. If you want to try more, awesome. I want to see 4 from you for this assignment. So give it a try, and notice that I did not stop and use a ruler. You also don't have to do that if you don't want to. Just be sure you're using perspective relatively well so that it actually works. All right, guys, give it a good shot. Let me know how your compositional arrangements come out. Can't wait to see them.